The Pharmacy on Today, sponsored by Boots.
You're very welcome back. Now, the weather is getting a little bit colder. Flu season, unfortunately, is upon us. Joining us now is Donald O'Sullivan, Boots pharmacist. He's going to help us fight the flu, but also talk about the symptoms as well, and I suppose how we can avail of the flu vaccine. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Mara.
Great. Donald, I suppose the first thing is the flu vaccine is now available. Now, I've had mine, I think, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. What is the optimum time to get it, or is there one?
I think, Mara, you're better off getting it early enough in the season because it takes 10 to 21 days to kick in. So there's no point delaying. You might as well get it. Now, fair enough, the amount of flu that's around at the moment is extremely low. But, like I said, get it early to give it time to kick in for you.
And I don't think people sometimes realise that there is that kind of run-in period before it's effective. So normally, is there a time that flu normally hits? Is it kind of before Christmas or after Christmas?
Usually around that time period.
Okay.
A lot would have to do with, I suppose, more movement of people coming from areas that would have flu. And then the more we move indoors, it's going to spread more. And oftentimes indoors, the humidity of the air inside, Mara, can be less than outside. And sometimes they think that can
spread it quicker.
Spread it also. And remember, it's spread by respiratory droplet transmission.
Yeah, so sneezing and all that.
The same type of things we're talking about with COVID are very similar in ways to the way flu is spread.
Now, I know, certainly I called a few pharmacies in Dublin the other day to get a flu jab for someone, and basically they had a kind of a 3-week run-in. Do you guys have that in Boots? And tell us how we can actually get the jab.
So what we've done now, I suppose if a person needs to contact their own doctor in pharmacy, but the way we do it is that you can do the consultation online, Mara.
Okay.
You can watch your recording on it. You can even make the appointment online.
And what's the consultation?
So the consultation,
if you have any underlying issues, is it?
Exactly. It's going to ask you, we'll say, number one, for your personal details and that, and then it's going to ask you certain medical queries because we need to know you might qualify for the vaccine for free if you're on the list, the people who are recommended to get the vaccine. There are other people who shouldn't be getting the vaccine, so we need to ask those questions.
And who are they?
So it might be somebody. So, for example, if you come into me looking for the vaccine, and if you're feeling unwell or have a temperature or an infection, you should postpone vaccination. But if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the flu vaccine before, Mara, or to any of the constituents, or then there could be other things like if you're on these combination checkpoint inhibitors.
Okay, so if you're immunocompromised in some way.
Well, the immunocompromised would be recommended to get the injection, but actually not would you believe, not the nasal spray vaccine. If you have a weakened immune system, you're not recommended to get that one, or if you're in close contact with somebody with a weakened immune system. Okay,
but that's interesting because the nasal spray we're talking about is the one for kids, isn't it?
For 2 to 17, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. So if you are immunocompromised, you're not recommended to get that?
You're not recommended to get that one or if you're in close contact with somebody who has a weakened immune system also. Okay.
So anyone can get the flu vaccine, go to your chemist, you can get the jab on the day, and then 21 days you're covered. Is the kids one, is that a 2-shot one, or is it a 1 nasal spray?
If you actually look at the information on the product itself, the manufacturers would recommend 2 doses, but 1 dose is sufficient, what the regulatory authorities have found, except in certain kids with certain medical conditions, and depending on their age, and if it's their first time getting the vaccine, they may have to come back and get a second dose. But generally, it's just a once-off for a given winter.
Okay, and as you said, they're 2 to 17 years of age. They're eligible. And that's actually free as well. Just for parents watching, you can organise that for free. Donald, let's talk about the symptoms of flu. And I suppose now that COVID is so prevalent again, it's probably more important this year to get the flu vaccine.
It's very important because I suppose flu can cause symptoms like fever, fatigue, pains and aches, but people often confuse it with the common cold. But flu would be far more severe. And what's important to note is that, take for example 4 years ago, Mara, over 4,000 people were hospitalised because of flu, and we had over 200 deaths. Now, we know from the news at the moment that we don't want to be putting the hospital system under further threat, but that's why it's important to get the vaccine to reduce your chance of getting it, to reduce your chance of spreading it, and to reduce your chances of having severe symptoms if you are unlucky to get it after being vaccinated.
Yeah, it's almost as if sometimes we don't think it's that serious, but it actually is. And if you have flu symptoms, as you said, the difference is it's not like a cold, you can't get out of bed.
Exactly. The fatigue, I suppose, Mara, that's exactly it.
Aches and pains?
That aches and pains and that tiredness in you. So it is more severe than the common cold.
Yeah, and how long would flu normally last?
So now the incubation period before it kicks in, it could be 2 days. So after you catch it, it could be 2 days before you get symptoms. But that can vary from 1 to 4 days. But the important thing to note is that you can spread the flu virus for 1 day before those symptoms show, and maybe for 5 to 7 days after.
Okay, that's really interesting.
That's
yeah.
that's an interesting
that.
point. It's an important point that you could spread it to vulnerable people.
Now, every year the vaccine contains different strains of the flu.
Exactly.
So people that got vaccinated last year will need it again this year.
Exactly. Every year you'll need a new one. Now, the scientists in early spring, they would try and predict, we'll say, what are going to be the strains that are coming up this winter, and then you'll have these names like the Victoria strain and the Washington strain and the Cambodia strain and the Phuket strain. They are the ones that they have this year, but it varies.
Okay.
It can vary then from year
So
to
that's
year
all
to year.
in the vaccine. And then there's
Yes.
another misconception that getting the flu vaccine will make you sick. That's a misconception.
So we'll say so the injection is a dead vaccine, so it can't give you flu. But like any medicine, if you were unlucky enough, there is the possibility of side effects. Now, when I get vaccinated, it feels, my shoulder might feel a slight bit tender, but everybody is different. And maybe some people might get a slight bit of a temperature, or they might feel a small bit achy or a small bit tired, or they may well have a bit of redness or soreness around the injection site.
But it's a mild effect, just for a day
Exactly.
or so.
No, you do have more serious side effects, but they would be rarer. Like, for example, you have a 1 in a million chance of having a severe allergic reaction. But nevertheless, we would say to somebody to stay close by in the vicinity for 15 minutes after being vaccinated, because you don't want to be that 1 in a million.
Okay. Donald, at this time of the year, a lot of people start taking supplements. Even people who don't take vitamins all year,
Yeah.
they decide to give the immune system a boost. What are your own views on, say, vitamin C or vitamin D that we're hearing an awful lot about at the moment?
I think we'll say they're important to maintain your immune system. Now, a good balanced diet, like the food Kevin would be cooking there now, that would be excellent.
Yeah.
And exercise and sleep, all those things. But the way I look at vitamins, I take them, it's like an insurance policy, Mara. Now, if you wanted to be really serious about it, you could get a blood test from your doctor and see where your levels are. Yeah. But vitamin D, very important just to maintain your immune system, and like even the vitamin C, all those things there might be a help.
Because vitamin C can't it? I mean, it's been proven to shorten a virus from, say, 7 days to 5 days. So that certainly would be a good idea. And should you be taking maybe a multivitamin? Would that be a good idea for people that aren't very, say, au fait with supplements? Would a multivitamin kind of give you a good kind of the trace elements of minerals?
I do. I take one myself, and then we'll say, I suppose since COVID has started, I've taken maybe a bit extra vitamin D, because the HSE say you could take 1,000 units of vitamin D
a day.
It would be safe enough to take. No, I also take cod liver oil, which has some vitamin D, but I balance it out there so that I have the 1,000 units on it.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's just like an insurance policy, Mara. Just
Why
in case
not
there's anything,
at this time
just
of the year?
in case there's anything that I might be lacking in the diet, and because the diet mightn't be the greatest always.
Well, it's hard to get it all. But Donald, as you said, the most important thing is to really, I suppose, get that flu jab and avoid, sneezing in public, maybe even wear a mask, that type of thing.
All the things we're currently doing
Yeah.
are going to reduce transmission, reducing the contacts, the hand sanitizing, all that ventilation, all those things would be a help.
Brilliant. And you can get your jabs, as Donald was saying there, get in touch with Boots. You can do your consultation online, and then, of course, from pharmacies around the country as well. Donald, thanks so much, as always. And, of course, if you have any health concerns, always seek medical advice. Go to your GP or consult your pharmacist. And for more information on what Donald and I chatted about there, you can pop onto our Facebook page, RTE Today.
The Pharmacy on Today, sponsored by Boots.